It's time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus, is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, compassion, all right here. BTI, your John Deere dealer with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. Eagle Radio, Hall Broadcasting, and HayesPost.com, keeping our community connected. And The Taco Shop. Order by phone or use the Taco Shop app. Dine in, pick up, or delivery. The Taco Shop. You've never had it so good. Now, Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And a good afternoon and welcome to Tiger Talk. We are live at the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State University campus, part of Tiger Club, and we're certainly glad to have you with us here on this chilly Wednesday. We've got another great show lined up for you. We're going to talk some women's wrestling. Elijah Jeffries will be on here shortly, and of course men's and women's basketball with women's coach Talia Kars, men's coach Mark Johnson. We're going to run down the week that was at Fort Hays State, get you up to date with everything going on, and hopefully enjoy another program here on the Tiger Sports Network. Again, we invite you to send in a question. Go to the Fans tab on the FHSU Athletics website, FHSUathletics.com. You click on Fans, you'll get the drop down. You'll see Ask the Coach, and if we use it, a chance to win a Fort Hays State basketball T-shirt from Fort Hays State Athletics. Today is signing day. No longer national letters of intent, institutional letters of commitment. You can get the latest list there on the Fort Hays State Athletics website for the 2025 class of future Tigers. I think 30 so far that they have received the paperwork. Coach Chris Brown holding a press conference this afternoon at 1:30. We'll have that for you. You can hear those comments on HayesPost.com and throughout the airwaves tomorrow. All right, let's jump in, get you up to date with what has happened since we talked to you last week on the program. Of course, basketball played the second leg of that four-game road trip. The women win twice. They beat Washburn last Thursday, 85-47 at Lee Arena, then beat Central Missouri and Warrensburg, 74-64. So they're now 18-2, 9-2, and in second place in the MIAA, still ranked 8th in the latest WBCA Women's Top 25. They move up a few spots to number 17 in the Sports Information Director's media poll. The men lost a tough one at number 1 Washburn Thursday, 74-65. We'll talk more about this with Coach. Great effort, though, by the Tigers against a really good Washburn team. And then a forgettable game Saturday. 41-31 was the final score at Central Missouri. Tigers now 13-7, 6-5 in the conference. Both teams at home this week. First time in nearly 3 weeks. They'll be back tomorrow. Northeastern State, the Riverhawks out of Tahlequah, Oklahoma in town. 5:30 and 7:30. And then on Saturday afternoon, it is MIAA newcomer Arkansas Fort Smith, 2 and 4 o'clock at the Coliseum. Men's wrestling went 0-2 in their 2 duels. They lost 36-6 at home to 21st-ranked Central Missouri last Saturday, and then turned around Sunday, went to Edmond and fell 42-6 to number 5 Central Oklahoma. So they're now 5-5 overall, 2-2 in conference duels. They're back in action on Valentine's Day, a week from Friday, at number 4 Nebraska Kearney to wrap up the regular season. The women, they were wrestling last Wednesday. They beat the University of Sioux Falls up in Sioux Falls, 29-16. So they're now 8-2 in duels. Had 3 placers at the Grandview Open in Des Moines on Saturday. Isabella Renfro, 5th at 180, Nicole Moore 6th at 138, and Josiah Ortiz 6th at 110. Women back to action next Wednesday, a week from today, in a double duel with Hastings College and Chadron State. That'll be in Hastings, Nebraska, and as we said, we'll have Elijah Jeffries, the women's wrestling coach, with us here in just a few minutes. Indoor track and field had 4 women finish first at the Charlie Foster Classic in Kearney. Arely Maldonado won the 3,000 meters. Jamie Hagerman, the long jump and triple jump, and Liberty Booker, the shot put. Nolan Churchman was the men's heptathlon winner at the Washburn Open. And he is also this week's MIAA Men's Indoor Field Athlete of the Week, named by the conference yesterday. And Emily Dirks set a new school record in the women's mile run in Pittsburgh. Tigers at the Steve Miller Invite, hosted by Kansas State on Friday. And some will be heading to the Russ Jewett Gorillas Classic, hosted by Pittsburgh State both Friday and Saturday. Baseball opened their season at home. They split their 4-game set with Adams State. Saturday won 11-7 and 10-2. Then the Bats went silent Sunday, losing 2-1 and 10-3. Senior first baseman Elliot Herman, a good weekend. 4 homers, 11 driven in. He is the MIAA Hitter of the Week. Tigers right back at it this weekend, back at home. They've altered the schedule slightly because of the weather forecast. They were to play Saturday and Sunday. They will now play a doubleheader on Friday beginning at 1, and then a doubleheader on Saturday beginning at noon. And softball opens up their season this weekend. They're at the Mustang Roundup, hosted by Midwestern State down in Wichita Falls, Texas. Tigers play Northwestern Oklahoma and Cameron Friday, Southwestern Oklahoma State and Southwest Baptist on Saturday. And a week from today, they host Bethany in their home opener, a doubleheader at 2 o'clock at Flea Hardy Family Field. So that gets you up to date with everything that's been happening with Fort Hays State Athletics since we talked to you last time on the program. Need to remind you, the Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition invite you to join Fans of the Plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. We'll take our first break. When we return, we'll talk women's wrestling. Head coach Elijah Jeffries with us next. You're listening to Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
He bobbles it to the 10-5, touchdown.
Into the edge, and Hayes High's going to win this football game. Johnny Rigler is on the spot.
Fire up the 3, and they can hold us and swirls.
Launches a 3, bang, nothing but net.
It's dropped in left field, and we are tied as 5 touchdowns.
He didn't get down. Hayes High wins in overtime.
Now Bill Saver left side. Here's Levy on the wing. Underneath DeGarmo, catches, scores, and is fouled. Katie DeGarmo, a chance for a 3-point play. And the Tigers' lead is back up to 11 at 18-7. That's some of the action for the Tiger women on Thursday of last week in Topeka against Washburn. We'll have more on that with Coach Talia Cars here in just a little bit. But right now we're talking some Fort Hays State women's wrestling. Head coach Elijah Jeffries joining us now. As we mentioned, Fort Hays State wins their duel last Wednesday at the University of Sioux Falls, and then had a pretty good showing at the Grandview Open in Des Moines, Iowa last Saturday. Welcome back to the program, and yeah, good job. You were gone last Wednesday up in Sioux Falls, and a good trip. You got a nice duel win. Just tell us how that went and your thoughts on how your team competed.
Yeah, absolutely. So we went up to Sioux Falls, and we knew that they were going to be a pretty tough team. They were undefeated in duels before wrestling us. So we just went out there, and it was a long trip. We're still a young team, so we wanted to make sure that we were ready to go, and we were. Got started off right away with Hannah Sell at 103. She was able to take care of business and get us started on the right foot, and then Josiah Ortiz followed up. So we got off to a pretty quick lead, and then we just kept it rolling in the middleweights. We had some strong showings and ended up winning pretty convincingly.
Now, you won your first 3, and I think then you came back and won 3 later in that. But you get off to a good start like that. I'm sure it's like any sport that just really sets the tone. And with a young team, a new program, I imagine that it was obviously nice to see and vitally important in some of these duels.
Yeah, absolutely. It really comes down to momentum and which team is able to really get the ball rolling. And luckily for us, we were ready to go right away, first matches, and we took care of business and just kept it rolling and finished really strong in that duel.
Yeah, got a nice win. 8-2 in dual competition now, and then got back into a tournament format on Saturday as you went to Des Moines, the Grandview Open, hosted by Grandview University. Had 3 place in that. Isabella Renfro, as we said earlier, 5th at 180. Nicole Moore, 6th at 138, and Josiah Ortiz, 6th at 110. Just talk about their days and just your thoughts overall on the whole team's competition in that pretty tough, challenging competition there on Saturday.
Yeah. So we knew going in that the Grandview Open was going to be one of the toughest tournaments that we compete at this year, and that's exactly what we were looking for. We wanted to see high-level competition before going into our postseason. So we got to see a lot of nationally ranked wrestlers in the NAIA side and as well as the NCAA side. And 3 wrestlers came away with places, and they did outstanding, had excellent performances. Josiah Ortiz has really been coming on strong as of late. So we're hoping that will keep rolling into regionals. And then Isabella Renfro has had a great year and really starting to peak at the right time. And then also Nicole Moore. She's been very solid all year and was able to beat a couple top 10 nationally ranked opponents and finish strong at the Grandview Open. And then everybody else competed well. We had a lot of wins and won a lot of big matches. We knew that this might not be our best performance, but leading up to the postseason, this was going to be crucial to peak at the right time.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And as you said, you saw good competition. I was kind of going to ask anybody else, maybe, they didn't place but stood out and you were really happy to see them perform and maybe starting to come on strong now as you get to the back stretch of the season.
Yeah, 2 that really stuck out to me was at 117, Lindsay Lopez. She has had a year where she's had some good wins and then taken some tough losses, and it seemed like everything was just finally starting to click, and she was able to get some big wins. And she was just 1 match short of placing at Grandview, and it actually her last match came down to a last-second takedown. Otherwise, she would have been on the podium as well. And then also at 207, Haley Conley, our heavyweight, has really developed this year and has figured out how to wrestle at the college level, and she had a very strong showing as well and was also 1 match shy of placing.
New program, you said, got a lot of youngsters on this roster kind of figuring it all out. Have you been happy with how they've progressed so far from where you've started? As we said now, I mean, the season's about done. It won't be long. You'll be heading to regionals. How they've just handled everything. Have you been happy with the progression from these gals all along this season?
Yeah, I honestly couldn't be happier. The way that they've taken the challenges that we've faced and just continue to get better and mature as wrestlers has just shown a lot. I think we're exactly where we wanted to be this time of year if we were to have talked in the preseason, and I think we're headed in the right direction.
Since you were here last time, NCAA had meetings and some big news coming out of that involving women's wrestling. Division II, but really all the NCAA divisions after this year will have their own championship. So Division II, you'll wrestle against Division II. I'm sure you're excited about that, but just talk about what that means to the sport with that ruling and I guess voting earlier a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think this was just the accumulation of all the growth that we've seen in the sport, and we've been looking forward to this for a while now. Having a fully NCAA sanctioned national tournament next year is going to be awesome for all of the wrestlers, but for our wrestlers to be able to compete in that and really showcase their ability and have the opportunity to be an NCAA national champion or an NCAA All-American. I think it just shows what the sport has become and how it's continuing to grow.
You think that will change recruiting in any way, maybe helping you a little bit?
Yeah. For the longest time, NAI had their sanctioned tournament, and they were the original women's wrestling programs. And NCAA came along, schools started to add, but it was pretty neck and neck with a lot of the NAIA programs. But now with a fully sanctioned NCAA, I could see it really helping our recruiting, and wrestlers are going to want to be a part of that.
Exciting stuff. That'll be starting next year that each division will have their own national championships. As you mentioned, the Tigers season winding down. Just a couple of more duels, and that'll be a week from today in Hastings, Nebraska. Hastings College hosting a double duel. You'll take on the host school, Hastings College, and then you'll take on your old school, Chadron State. That'll be interesting. Maybe give us a preview what to expect on that next Wednesday.
Yeah. So we're looking at 2 tough duels next week. I know Hastings is a top NAI program. I believe they're ranked 10th in the country right now. So it'll be a good challenge for us, and Chadron State as well. They've had success this year. So, we're going in and we're expecting to come out with 2 wins, but we know it's going to be hard fought, and we need to be prepared to finish the season strong.
And as you said, this will be then the final tune-up for everybody for regionals. Maybe give us a preview. That's going to be coming up February 22nd. Just kind of where you stand on some of your gals and who you think maybe has a chance to have some good success there.
Yeah, so one thing that's unique about us, we get to take 15 wrestlers to the regional tournament. And, we have our 10 pretty solidified, 1 for each weight class. But right now we're really still trying to finalize who's going to be our additional 5. And, we look at everything as far as in the room, training, competition. And we're really hoping to have that done by the end of the week and see who really has stepped up and we're going to throw into those positions. But honestly, I think everybody that we send to regionals, all 15, could walk away with a ticket to the national tournament.
Well, that'll be exciting. That'll be here before we know it. As you get to February, it goes quickly. Health-wise, how you guys doing at this point of the year?
Yeah, a little banged up, but for the most part, we stayed very healthy. Just with the sport and wrestling, it's bound to happen.
Ask everybody, they'd say the same thing.
Yes, yeah. So we're happy with where we're at. We've stayed relatively healthy throughout the year. Some bumps and bruises here and there, but we're shaping up to be ready to go at the right time.
All right, sounds good. Elijah, as always, we appreciate it. Great job on the season so far. Good luck in Nebraska next Wednesday. That'll be a lot of fun, and looking forward to have you back on here real soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
There you go. That's Elijah Jeffries, head women's wrestling coach at Fort Hays State. 8-2 in duels. Back at it next Wednesday at Hastings College for a double duel. Tiger Talk today brought to you by the Taco Shop. You can order by phone, use the Taco Shop app, dine in, carry out, or delivery just east of the Fort Hays State campus on 8th Street. The Taco Shop. You've never had it so good. We'll take a timeout. When we return, women's basketball coach Talia Kars will join us here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Being a foster grandparent has definitely given me a purpose in life.
Just been so happy, just so much more energy than being at home alone doing nothing but watching TV. It's the best part of my life.
Best part of being a foster grandparent volunteer, watching the light up in the kids' eyes.
I'm living again, and the foster grandparent did that for me.
Brooke drives, can't shoot it, kicks it out right wing, Dill Saber. There's the double team, dribbles around it, pulls up baseline, now to Levy in the corner for 3, and it goes! Brooke Levy with a right corner 3 has 11. 72-61, Fort Hays State by 11 on a big-time 3 from Levy. The Tigers' 6th three-pointer of the day. Yeah, big basket down the stretch Saturday in Warrensburg as the Tiger women knock off Central Missouri, ending a 2-game skid in the Berg and get a big victory to move to 18-2. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Hey, you can look your best on Tiger Game Day with official Nike gear from BSN Sports in the Sideline Store. Go to the Fort Hays State Athletics website, fhsuathletics.com. Click on Shop. You'll find hundreds of products and designs, and every item is customizable. FHSUathletics.com. Click on Shop and open up the Tiger Team Store. Joined now by women's basketball coach Talia Kars. They wrapped up the road swing with a couple of wins. Beat Washburn Thursday, knocked off Central Missouri Saturday, moved to 18-2, 9-2 in the conference in second place. Welcome and congratulations. That was a tough swing. You're on the road for that long. I thought your team really handled it well and got a couple of nice wins last week at Washburn and Central Missouri.
Yeah, we're starting to get the hotel thing figured out, I think. So.
Well, you've been there a lot.
We have. We're gauging our breakfasts every place we go and see which one's good and which one's not as good. But
that's what's important on road trips.
Food is right up there for them. So we got to make sure we're feeding them good. No, I thought the girls this last week really engaged in what we were doing, especially in practice. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I thought we had a really good practice, and that's something that we had discussed is what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday looks like plays a lot into what Thursday, Saturday plays like. And I thought last week we were really, really into it early in the week, and then that carried over to the games.
Yeah, Washburn was interesting. You beat them bad when you played them here, but it was so long ago, early December. Their post player, Wadada, was out in concussion protocol. She's back and been averaging 17 a game this year, having a really good season, and really expected a challenge. And I just thought you came out early, played well, you locked down defensively, and kind of just took the will out of them in that first half.
Yeah, I thought we did a good job of pressing in the full court. It really, our press for whatever reason really kind of gets to them, and our girls were really into it. Took that first pass away really, really well, and so the point guard just didn't have anywhere to go with it. And then if you can keep the ball from getting to the wings really easy, then they can't really get it inside. And so that was kind of our goal, and the girls did a great job of executing it. And then on the other end, we shot the ball pretty well. We moved the ball really well. Got the next pass for the best shot in the offense.
And you're on the road. It could always be tough. You had the great start. You knew Washburn's going to mount a run or two, and I thought you did a good job of not allowing that to happen, and just kept building on it, got everybody in the process, and never opened the door for them to try to get back in that game.
Yeah, and I think for them, they know that we beat them once bad, and so then I think that gets in the back of your mind, and when you get up that big, then I think it's easier to kind of give up than it is when you've beat somebody or you've been with somebody in a game, and so I think that was probably a little bit of it too, is they remembered we beat them bad last time too.
An interesting game for Katie. Only 7 points. I don't think she scored in the second half, but 11 boards, 5 assists, and she just did all those little things. They weren't going to let her score. They kind of took her out of it, but she still found ways to affect the game, which she does. And she's been on I think 3 straight games now, double-figure rebounding. That's been a nice element for her game here this season and for the entire team.
Yeah, that's something that we've really kind of hit on hard the last 10 days, because I didn't think we did it well at Rogers and UCO. And Katie kind of took it upon herself to make sure that she personally was going to do it really well. And I think we saw that last week, that she was crashing the boards every single time and then doing things that she was able to do and adjusting, and when she couldn't score, she was figuring out how to make something happen and getting somebody else a really good shot.
And then speaking of Katie, she went up against Reese Schaff, who had a really big game the first time he played Central Missouri. She's the reigning GLVC Player of the Year, the Drury transfer now with Central Missouri, going up against the reigning MIAA Player of the Year. And it almost felt like Katie took that personal, especially after Schaff had a good game at Hayes back in December. She was as good as she's been. 26 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, played all 40 minutes. One of her better games as a Tiger, and that's saying something considering she's had a lot of them.
Yeah. She definitely did. You saw her go out aggressively to start the game and try to get something done offensively, especially where she didn't maybe have as good of an offensive night on Thursday. And, yeah, I think she did take it a little bit personal. She wanted to make sure that Reese didn't get as good, have as good of the game as she did the first time against us. And it was important that we held her in check, too, if we were going to get the win.
That was a nice win. Central's played a lot better, and they had a lot of new pieces when you played them back in December, and you could tell they're starting to figure it out. They had I think had won 4 out of 5, their best stretch. So you caught them on their floor, which has not been an easy place for the Tigers to win. I thought you handled all of that well. And as you said, your team was locked in and did all those little things on the offensive and defensive side in that one.
Yeah, I felt like we did a good job of keeping our composure. We started the game out really well, and then we let them back in it a little bit in the second quarter, and the fourth quarter, especially when they tried to come back and make their run. I thought just especially offensively, we did a good job of taking care of the ball and getting at least a decent shot at the rim. Didn't turn the ball over unnecessarily. And then on the defensive end, really kind of locked in and understood what they were trying to get done and tried to make them not do that and do something different.
Is that the key to this offense, is the turnovers? Because both of the wins, you had under 10 in both games. And it seems like, for any team, I'm sure, but at times it balloons a little bit, and you're good enough to overcome it. But in some of these important games here down the stretch and games you hope to play in as you get to the postseason, is that the one key? If you can control those to a manageable number, the sky's the limit? I
think you see when we are turning people over, we just get super easy shots on the other end. And so if we can keep from turning the ball over, then that at least makes them have to play offense in the half court instead of giving them an easy layup on the other end. And I think we've done a really good job of understanding offensively what we're trying to do. And when we have a set, we kind of know where it's supposed to go. go. And I think we've done a really good job of, if it didn't work where it was supposed to, we got to get the next best shot. And we're taking a lot better shots, I feel like. And when we take good shots, the good shots go in. So that's helpful.
Funny how those two correlate. I want to ask you about Telexa. Had a great game against Washburn and went up against Weiser a little bit, and that freshman really has improved from the first meeting. Telexa wasn't her best game, only 5 points, and she had a few shots blocked. I'm sure something she had to get used to. It was interesting to see her try to figure it out and still figuring all these things out, and how she'll come back now and learn from that experience, because that was a little bit tougher for her offensively because it has come so easy for her this season.
Yeah, no, she's a great shot blocker. So it was really hard for T to score on her. And she actually got hit in the knee really, really hard on Thursday, which we were aware of. But then Saturday morning decided not to really tell us how bad it was. And so she's like, it's actually really swollen. We're like, well, we should have been doing something with it the last 48 hours. So she was actually a little banged up.
That makes sense then.
And she's just a tough kid. So she was like, well, it was kind of hurting. Well, it's big. So that was also part of it, is that she was a little in her head on that, but had a hard time on the block, and that was my fault in getting her a different spot on the offensive floor where she could still attack her, and the low post was not it.
And I thought a key stretch in that game was, and it was tough for Liv too for a while. Then there's about 3 or 4 possessions. She really went to work, got to the line, hit some shots, and that kind of gave you that separation when they were making a little run there.
Yeah, no, Liv did a good job in the second half of coming in and not allowing the foul trouble get to her head, and she was super effective on the offensive end and was able to get her in a position where we could get her the ball and she could take an easy shot over top of her.
All right, Tigers back at home tomorrow, Northeastern State, and then conference newcomer, the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith, and first time in nearly 3 weeks she'll be at home. But as you look at the standings, you're trying to catch bit. You're trying to play for a lot of things. You can't take a breath. You got to be locked in regardless of who you're playing. And Northeastern certainly has shown this year a capable team. They're right at 500, but they've had some impressive games against some good teams at times.
Yeah, he's gotten some really good wins this year and beat the teams that maybe could have went either way. He's gotten the wins over those teams. So they're playing pretty good basketball. He plays a lot of kids. So we've just got to really play good team defense. A lot of different dynamic scores on how they can score. A lot of times we're seeing a right-handed drive a lot. Well, these guys like to go left a lot. And so just adjusting that defensively. And then they're a little undersized compared to us, so we feel like that's an advantage. But they get up in you and guard really, really hard in the full court too. And so we've got to definitely monitor our turnovers on that side of things. But he's really deep, plays a lot of kids. So we've just got to be ready to play really hard.
And in Fort Smith, it's kind of weird. I mean, but obviously you've scouted them, but you've never played them before. It'll be a whole unique experience against a newcomer.
Yeah.
And they're having a good year.
They are. They're playing really good basketball. They're really athletic. They are super explosive. They'll get out in the lanes and deny really hard defensively and just kind of are really bouncy and like to be explosive. And so pretty different compared to kind of the rest of our league. Or you don't see that as much in the rest of our league. So definitely a different type of team than we see most nights.
You know, it'll be interesting to see them on Saturday, and they're coming off a couple, also a double overtime to Southern, then took Pitt to overtime, and nice if they could have clipped them to help the Tigers cause a little bit, but coming off a couple of heartbreakers, so they'll be locked in and loaded to try to get things back on track, because, I mean, they're right there in the conference race until those 2 losses.
Yeah, no, they're definitely right there in the mix, and it'll be interesting to see how they come back after last week and those heartbreaks and bounce back and see what they do at Kearney tomorrow.
How's Telexa doing?
She's doing better.
Doing good?
Yep.
All right.
Got the swelling out, so that's
Very good. That's good to hear, because certainly going to need her here down the stretch. Coach, as always, we appreciate it. Great job on the road trip. It'll be nice to be at home, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jared.
There you go. Talia Cars, head coach of the Fort Hays State women. 5:30 tomorrow as they take on Northeastern State, and then 2 o'clock on Saturday at home against Arkansas Fort Smith. Tiger Talk brought to you today by BTI, your John Deere dealer. Locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. We'll take another break. When we return, we'll chat with men's basketball coach Mark Johnson. That's coming your way next here on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PWC.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayspost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.
Here's a drive by Hanna. He lost it. Hammocky with the steal. Kalen leads a 2-on-1 down the lane. He'll lay it in with the left hand. Timeout, Washburn. Hammocky got the steal. Hammocky drives in for the layup, and Fort Hays State leads by 7. Some of the action from Thursday night at Lee Arena. Fort Hays State gave number 1 Washburn a pretty good battle, but comes up a little bit short and then loses to Central Missouri on Saturday. Tiger Talk today presented by the HaysMed Orthopedic Institute, the most comprehensive orthopedic care in Western Kansas. Let the experts at HaysMed Orthopedic help you move freely. Learn more at haysmed.com/orthopedics. We're in the month of February, and that means March will be here soon, and that means MIAA tournament time in Kansas City, and you can get your MIAA tickets. Stop by the athletics office. Actually, you can get them right here at the door if you're a Tiger Club member and want to purchase them. Jan and Toby have those. They'll be at the gate at Fort Hays State games here for the remaining home schedule, or stop by the Fort Hays State Athletic Department office. If you're going to get an all-tournament pass, it's a little bit cheaper if you buy it from Fort Hays State rather than getting it in Kansas City. So if you're thinking of going to KC, and it is a phenomenal event. If you haven't been, I urge you to do it. It's really a lot of fun. Should be some good showings by the Tigers, but you can get your MIAA tournament tickets with the Fort Hays State Athletic Department. They are on sale now. We're joined by Fort Hays State men's head coach Mark Johnson. Tigers dropped both games on the road this last week at Washburn, at Central Missouri, and it was a tough ending to the road trip after, you guys battled against number 1 Washburn, and you were obviously prepared for the way they played defense from the first go-around, and in fact carved them up. They had to back away from it, and you left it out there. Just couldn't quite hit enough shots to get the victory, but it was a heck of an effort by your guys.
Yeah, our guys did a great job handling their pressure this time around. We had 19 turnovers at our place. We really attacked their traps and got great looks. Kyle got off to a great start. We did everything we probably could, except, we were 11 of 19 from the foul line and only 6 of 20 from 3. I mean, we have to go 15 of 19 and go 9 of 20, and we probably win the game because we guarded well for the most part. We took care of the ball. We did the things we needed to do. We just have struggled to put the ball in the hole. I think the last 8 games now it's hard to believe at one point after 10 or 11 games we were 3rd in the nation in three-point shooting. And now, we're 27% the last 8 games. So maybe we do it all together. We shoot it well together, we struggle together, and maybe it's time to turn it around and get back on a positive note and start making shots. But, our guys invested a lot, and, they're big, physical. They got a lot of depth. I mean, that game I thought really took a toll on our guys physically and emotionally. And then you were concerned about the Saturday game, and then the Saturday was just a perfect storm. And the fact that, statistically, it's not just scoring. Scoring defense is an overrated concept. It's one factor and a lot of factors that go in. But if you factor everything in, I think we're number 1 in the country in defense statistically. When you points per possession, field goal percentage, everything that goes into it, we're number 1. And Central Missouri happens to be number 2. So you have the 2 best defensive teams in the country against 2 offenses that obviously aren't the first or second best offensive teams in the country. And then you have an off night. We were 1 of 15 from 3. We shot the ball terrible. To our guys' credit, I've said this the last few years. I would say if you talk to Coach Brown about football, guys either play offense or defense, and probably at times your defense, when your offense is really bad, it affects even your defense. When you don't, you get frustrated, you're probably mad at your team, whatever. Our guys do an unbelievable job of continually to play no matter how miserable it is on offense. And that's shocking to me because there's people their defense eventually affects their offense, their offense eventually affects their defense when they're struggling that bad. And our guys just kept battling, and it was bad. We just struggled. I thought we ran better offense the second half, screened better, got some looks. By that point, we were. We just weren't real focused. I thought our guys know to play hard. They're going to play hard. They're going to compete. They're going to try. But I didn't feel like our focus was not great. And it showed. And to the Central Missouri's credit, they guarded really well. And, it was an ugly game. I mean, if I didn't have to be there, I would have left. But it was bad. But to our guys' credit,
I'm going with you.
They tried really hard and all that, so I appreciate their efforts.
Yeah, and you could tell just passes were bobbled, just a little of those things you could kind of sense that. But we talked after the game, what was lost, you hold them to 41 on their floor, 35% shooting, 21 in the second half. I mean, you have just an average game, you win it. As you said, it was just kind of the perfect storm, but it kind of gets lost in that, how good you were defensively. And as you said, a testament because how bad the offense was. They never gave in. And even down to the last minute or two, you still were there with a chance if you could have just hit a shot or two, which obviously didn't happen.
Yeah, you know how many text messages I got driving home?
Was that real score?
They were like, I think the live stats broke. What did you guys come back and win? I said, no, the live stats were fine. That was the final. But yeah, our guys really battled hard. They tried. It is what it is. You know, I mean, at times when you lose that way, it would have been more probably if we didn't play hard and we lost because we were just, that at least you could get on them, get it off your chest and improve on that. So it is what it is. We move on from that. We got a capable team. This is the biggest week of our season right now is these 2 home games. We have to find a way to have success. Hopefully we win these games, and then we can say in whatever the next week or the following week, it's the biggest week of our season because we're playing for some things. So we have to get some wins. Northeastern's at second place. High octane, best offense in our league. They have the leading scorer in our league. They have the third leading scorer who happens to be the leading rebounder. So they're two completely different than Central Missouri. I mean, they're trying to outscore you. They don't have a lot of depth. We need to get them in foul trouble. We need to wear them out and make it a tough game. But we just need to turn the page, and we're better than what we played for sure. The guys know that, and let's be ready to go.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the Riverhawks here in a second. And just because I've been asked a lot, 1949 is the last time Fort Hays State scored less than 31 in a game. I think they scored 26. Keith Saran was the coach, so it's been a while, and I mean there's that many of them. It's just one you kind of move on, but as you said, that could have been against somebody else. That could have been a 30-point blowout. It was a 10-point game, and the Tigers certainly had a chance all the way throughout that. And then back at home, Northeastern tomorrow, University of Arkansas, Fort Smith on Saturday. We're going to preview those here in just a minute. We need to take our final break. First, need to remind you that Tiger Athletics is proud to partner with the Kansas Drive to Zero Coalition and encourage you to join Tiger fans with a plan. Always have a designated driver or other sober ride to and from your destination. We'll take our final break. Preview tomorrow night and Saturday, the Riverhawks and the Lions coming to town. We'll do that next here on Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
When it comes to screen printing and embroidery, your first choice should be Redeem Designs in Hays. Turn it up with Redeem Designs, where it's not just about the products, it's about the partnership. At Redeem Designs, you're part of the process. They work closely with you to ensure your vision comes to life. So turn up your 2024-25 season with Redeem Designs.
Here's Conte over to Trey. Open three. He knocked it in from the right wing in front of the Tiger bench. Trajan Davis hits the first three of the game for the Tigers. They had started 0 for 8. It cuts it to 10. That's some of the action from Saturday in Warrensburg. Tiger Talk today brought to you by Golden Belt Bank. Your life has a story. Golden Belt Bank wants to get to know that story. Golden Belt Bank of Hays and Ellis. Visit them at goldenbeltbank.com. Joined by Mark Johnson. Tigers in Northeastern State tomorrow. Fort Smith on Saturday. You kind of touched on it. Good team, 13-7. They've won 2 in a row. Trey Phipps, grad transfer from Oral Roberts, obviously makes them go. He's shooting at a high pace. This will be a game where you're going to have to probably score a few points because it's going to be hard to slow them down completely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to have to he averages, 22, 23 a game. Like I said, they're big kids, hard to handle. They surround him with shooters, play up-tempo. So it'll be a little bit more quicker game. And it's like I said, this week is our most important week, and we got to go in there and get done what needs to get done.
All right, sounds good. Will be nice to be back at home, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, thanks, Gerard.
That's Mark Johnson, coach of the Tigers. 5:30, 7:30 for the Tiger men and women against Northeastern State, and then 2 and 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon against Arkansas Fort Smith. That's going to wrap up the program for today. I think Dustin's going to fill in next week. We'll be on the road for Fort Hays State basketball as we head to Emporia for a Wednesday night game with Emporia State, but we'll have a program for you again next Wednesday. We'll see you then. So long for Tiger Talk.
Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus.